I get shit done, I have fun. It's my time and I'm the one. I'm breaking through.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Business Renovator. I'm your host, Coach Phil. Today we're going to talk about, listen to this, can you be an entrepreneur and still have it all? That's a question. We're going to get some answers to that today from my lovely guest. So stick with us and hang out. And a couple of announcements. If you're watching this live, thank you for being with us today. Appreciate that. And if you're not and you're catching it on the replay, just hashtag replay. Let us know where you're watching it from. If you have a question or comment that you want to ask while we're here live today, or at a later point, just send it in a message to us. Probably the easiest way is wherever you're watching this from, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter. And I have a sponsor. It's actually me. So shameless plug from me to you. Here it comes. It's true. It's free. It's a complimentary assessment. All you have to do is go to coachphil.ca, and on the homepage in the top right-hand corner, it was a button. Click that. The assessment will pop up. You can answer the questions and get a response to what it's going to tell you. And then if you wanted to go a little bit deeper with it, again, it's complimentary for being a viewer of the show. 30-minute complimentary coaching session. Again, it's also free. No strings attached. Let's get on with why we're here. Can you be an entrepreneur and still have it all? The answer, I think you're going to be surprised with. I'm not going to tell you because I have a guest that's going to answer that for us. So she's an entrepreneur who was a virtual assistant before people knew what that term meant. After spending the last 10 plus years growing her VA business from a one-woman show to a team of talented professionals providing all areas of a back office virtual support, Rachel is divulging her secrets to success with us this morning, at least some of them anyway. It will be covering work-life balance, strategies of outsourcing, remote work, everything in between. As someone who juggles acting in theater and on film, homeschooling her children, and she's got a field trip for the school children today is in her schedule. We just talked about that earlier this morning. And growing a check off your list business. That's the name of her company, Check Off Your List. Rachel is often asked, can you be an entrepreneur and still have it all? The answer is, here it is. I'm going to give away the secret, a resounding yes. And Rachel is going to share with us some of the ways that she's been able to do that for herself as an entrepreneur, a wife, and a mother. And now she's going to join us today and help us understand some of her magic. So as I find the buttons to bring her on, here she is. Rachel, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Phil.
I stumbled over that. Must need a little bit more coffee this morning.
Hey, that's okay. I have been there, done that.
Oh, man. When we first started talking, you had told me a little bit about you went to school to be what did you start off with?
Yes. So since I was a little girl, wanted to be an actor. So I eventually convinced my parents that it was a good idea to go to school to be an actor. And they said, that's great. What are you going to do for a real job too? And so I double majored. I have a degree in communications and theater performance, as well as accounting and business. So I made them happy and me happy, did both of those things. And to this day, still use both. So I guess they were smarter than what I thought.
And you still perform, right?
I do, yes. So I perform in the Columbus area, do theater as well as perform in commercials and films, etc. Just kind of depending on what projects come my way as I do it.
And I believe when we talked earlier, when you went through school, how did you fund it?
When I went to school,
Yeah, like how did you? You did something on this. You had a hack in
yeah.
today's world, right?
Well, I did a couple things. So I worked while I was going through school. I waited tables and I also owned a business doing clothing alterations. I have a background in costume as well. And I would do formal dresses as well as just street clothes alterations. And then I also would classes and transfer credits in from other schools to just kind of optimize my time, and that all of that together allowed me to graduate uh, earlier than anticipated. So that was good.
And the reason I asked that crazy question is some of the credentials of why you're successful in your life and in your business is because like the theme of my music is you get shit done. And I wanted to make sure that you're not just a pretty face, you've got organizational skills like on steroids. Right?
Yes, yes. So I've always been a very detail-oriented person. I've always been encouraged to think out of the box as well and to solve problems. And my parents often talked about you need to be just a good learner. You can do anything if you can learn. And so that was a lot of what I learned growing up was to learn. And I've implemented that in my life as I've gone, and it's allowed me to just jump into things without some of the fear that some people have, the fear of the unknown, because well, I'll figure it out, I'll learn it. And I've done a lot of things that then looking back I'm like, oh, I didn't know what I was doing, but I studied and figured it out, and here we are, I did it.
Yeah, I'm just making notes. So if it looks like I'm not paying attention to you, I'm actually really listening. I'm making notes to
It's
recap.
okay, I get it.
That's exciting. So tell us a little bit about your business now. Let's jump right into that.
Yeah, well, I started my business to stay home with my children. And I have a background in accounting and business. So I started doing freelance work as a bookkeeper and executive assistant for small businesses. I had heard of this term virtual assistant, but it was very new. And people really didn't know what that meant. And I would often be asked, well, when are you going to come into my office to do work? And I'm like, no, 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 that's not how it works. I work for you from my office and on an as needed basis. I don't work in your office. And so there was a lot of education, but that's how it started. And so it was me, myself, and I selling services, doing services, and all of the things. And I continued to build up my clientele and I continued to have more children as I grew my family. And I very quickly became overwhelmed and overworked and was trying to do too much and just burning the candle at both ends, as they say. And
Yeah.
it took a conversation with my husband where he essentially said, this isn't working, like you can't do this long term. And that was kind of the wake up call I needed to make a change. And that was to start delegating. And that is really what changed my life as far as business and as far as being able to do all the things that I want to do. At that point in time, I had put acting on hold because I was mom and business owner, and that was all I could handle. But as I started delegating, my business grew and we offered more services and it grew exponentially more than I could do by myself. My family continued to grow, but I was able to be there for them as that happened. And I then was also able to allow theater back into my life and acting and started doing more projects and things that I had kind of walked away from for a period of time. And that was really all because I learned how to delegate and figure out where I made the most impact in whatever I was doing and figured out how to spend my time doing that.
Uh, you're even better than I anticipated, and I anticipated a pretty high bar. And you're even better than that. So, yeah,
Oh,
I'm
well,
writing some
thank you.
notes. You're welcome. Because you're reminding me about why I do what I do. So one of my own personal quests is to stop under living and to grow into my potential. And
Mhm.
some people have criticized me because, well, it anyway, that's their perception. As I grow and do things, just like what you've described, you get somewhere. Now you're not maybe not you don't know how to do it, but you have
Mhm.
this passion to sort it out, figure it out, and grow into. And that's what I'm hearing you're doing as a woman running a business, running a family, and being a
Mhm.
wife. You left that job out. You only talked about the two, right?
Yes, yes, there's more. Being a wife is a definitely a job as well, and something that I need to make sure I devote time to. I also have a podcast, and so there's multiple things going on.
That's fantastic. So I just want to recap so I don't forget anything.
Mhm.
Uh, this is what I've heard so far. Be a good learner. Possibility thinking. It's not how you said it, but that's how I interpret it. So when you ran into it was something you didn't understand, because of you're a good learner, great sage advice from your parents, you became a possibility thinker. And when there was
Mhm.
an obstacle in your way, you found a way to get through it, over and around it.
Mhm.
That's my interpretation of what I heard.
Yeah,
Delegate.
that sounds good.
Delegate. It was a powerful thing, and many things, times, entrepreneurs and business owners, one of the things they're reluctant to do is to delegate, and
Mm.
because it's their
Mhm.
baby and they don't want to give it up. And what by delegating it, the magic you shared with us is you grew. Family
Mhm.
wise, had better time with them. Business wise, and personal wise, you get to do family, business, and acting just
Mhm.
by the D word, delegating. That's brilliant. So let's
Yeah.
talk about the delegating thing. Was it easy for you to let go and move into being a delegator?
It was and it wasn't, all at
Okay.
the same time. So I'm a very type A personality. I
Mhm.
know what I like and I know what I want and how it should be done. So there was a learning on my side of realizing that my way may not be the best way and utilizing the expertise of other people because I don't know everything about everything and they do what they do for a reason. So I had to learn to listen and understand that they have an expertise, so let them lead that. And that's really where the effectiveness of delegating became exponential because
Mm,
I hired people and started working with people who were better at things than me, and that allowed them to take complete ownership of something. Wasn't on my mind. I didn't have to worry about it anymore because someone who was more capable and competent was making decisions that they could make better than I could. And that was really the success of it. So figuring that out was a little bit difficult, and getting that mindset of it's okay if it's not done exactly how I want it to be done because their way is actually better. And that was a big shift for me. But then then the other thing is trying to sort out and realize how are they going to do it how are they going to care as much as I care? Because it is my baby and it's something that I put blood, sweat, and tears into, lost sleep over. And now I'm going to have someone else who knows nothing about my business and what I've been through take over these things. And what if they mess it up? And
right.
because they don't care. And I realized that they have a passion for the tasks that I don't have. And that is the difference. That's where the care comes from. And I'm passionate about it because of the end result or because it's my business, but they're passionate about doing the task and the success of that aspect of your business. So now you have a mutual passion and a mutual desire for and a same end result that works really well. And that again is where the exponential growth and the exponential impact that you have in your business happens.
Yeah, absolutely. My mind's racing with the gems that you're percolating in my mind. Are you familiar with Sarah Blakely?
Yeah.
Okay, so my question then, tongue in cheek, but maybe it's not so tongue in cheek. Are you the Sarah Blakely of Columbus, Ohio?
Oh, I don't know if I wanna be that bold.
Well,
Um,
let me tell you why I brought her into the fold, because she's an amazing woman and
mhm,
she's doing stuff that you're doing. Like she reminded me of a time I was at a networking event. I think there was two guys and I don't know 80 women, and the keynote speaker talked about gussets of pantyhose. And I go, "Well, I don't wear pantyhose. I don't know what a gusset is." So she didn't know what a gusset was either when she was manufacturing Spanx.
mhm,
So you didn't know a lot of what you do now when you started your business, and you found people that are better at it. And because they're better
mhm,
at it, there's a mutual passion and caring about the end result. The reason why
mhm,
they do it is different than yours. You're the CEO, Chief Encouragement Officer, and they're part of the team that's helping you get to where you want to get to. And Sarah
mhm,
Blakely, one of the things she did, and that's why I put you into the fold of her, was that she hired people that were better at than the stuff she didn't do, and she stuck in her lane and did what she
Mhm.
did well. And as a result of that, she had a huge, massive success.
Well, that is my goal and how I try to run my company. So if that is the question, then I will say yes, I will be the Sarah Blakely of Columbus, Ohio.
There you go. In the VA world, right? So
Yes,
here's
yes.
one of my amazing buddies. Sometimes I think he's in Michigan, other times he's in Florida, but he's a road warrior, and he
Mhm.
sells post form no is it post form buildings and roofing stuff. Anyway,
Mhm.
he's I want to make sure you saw that he's giving you a
Mm.
shout out, so that's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Randy.
um Geez, where do we go from here? There's so much. um is there any correlation between doing what you do in acting that helps you with your business?
So I would say my communications background and performance background, the improv and reading a room and the relational motivations that come from reading a script and bringing it to life help the most probably in relating to customers or potential customers in doing um sales or customer service. So I would say that those are the things that kind of overlap. It's also keeps my creative side, those creative juices flowing, which then also I think benefits check off your list. And as an entrepreneur, putting creative thought into something that is much um, more business like than what you would think acting or something in the arts would be. So that's kind of how I see them overlapping and where I see a benefit in my business
Yeah.
from both of those things.
One of the things was on my bucket list for ages, and I
Mhm.
finally got around to it about 20 years ago. And in my own mind, I was a rock star. I was part of a band in high school, and we didn't sing very well, so we found a singer. He came, but his passion was acting and drama, so he left.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And later on in life, I ran into him, and he was the curator for an improv troupe
Mhm.
here in the city I'm in. And so finally, I took some improv. I took
Mhm.
2 sessions of improv. And the reason I did it was not to be on the stage and be a performer like yourself,
Mhm.
but it was to be able to be comfortable and vulnerable and relevant when I'm presenting at the front of the room. So it was
Mhm.
massive improvement. Fast forward a whole bunch of years. I'm in a coaching modality program called Positive Intelligence. And one of our modalities, or one of our methods for helping people live in a sage mindset versus the being somebody who's open up to possibilities versus somebody who's looking at living life as a victim. And you can have
Mm.
success. You can get to the finish line in both. One's happier than the other. So I'm working with people to be happier and successful, much like how you're living your life. And one of
Mhm.
the tools is the yes and approach. So when somebody
Mm.
throws an idea at you, it's not, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. That takes the wind out of anybody's idea.
Mhm.
So if we
Mhm.
just adapt the idea that any idea that comes across the table, 10% of it's really good. And so you can
Sure.
take the little bit and say, yes, and what I like about that. And then what I found is when we facilitate that process, it becomes a solution that's bigger, better, brighter, bolder, and more effective than anything else that
Mhm.
I've come around. So I've introduced that to other coaches to help them understand how to do this. And the results are getting is amazing. So for the performing arts is playing a role in leadership in the business and commerce space for me. Sounds like for you as well.
Mhm. That is very true, and I think it's you were talking about being open to possibilities
Yeah.
at the beginning, and it stems into that do in order to perform and do a scene and tell that story, you have to be open to the possibilities of what's going to happen during that. And in business, if you're not open to possibilities, you're not going to go somewhere. If your ideas are the only good ideas, then you're only going to go as far as you can go. And that may not be very far. For me, it's not, but when you listen to other people and pull in their expertise and say yes and to them, it for sure, like you can go so much further. And that's where delegating also comes in because you have people who can provide you that insight and contribute and have those ideas that you can work with.
Yeah, what we just talked about, we're actually doing what I'm going to explain. You and I, right now at
Mm.
this moment, are in a mastermind group of two. And in that
Yeah.
mastermind group of two, we're creating that third mind or maybe a fourth mind. And in that creative process, other ideas are coming out of it. So in the great book of written by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, one of the
Mhm.
principles of success is to create a mastermind group. And the reason being is to get the energy of both, or if you have five, if you're all there for a common goal and there's no egos in there to, like,
Mhm.
everybody's bought into the idea, the idea that every idea is at least 10% of it's good, and how we can build on that. So you and I right now at this moment are in a mini mastermind.
Mhm.
Isn't that brilliant?
I love it. Yeah, that's great.
Cool, cool, cool. Um, man, there's so many things to ask you. So how do you, as a mom, as a wife, as a teacher, as a business leader, as a entrepreneur, what's some of the ways that you're able to get a lot of stuff done?
The goal is to be very selective about where I spend my time and what I spend my time doing, which means that I look at every area of my life and figure out, why do I say yes to that? Because if we're participating in something, doing something, we make a choice, we're saying yes to something. So, what about that am I saying yes to? And then when I figure that out, I know what parts of that I need to own and handle myself. And then I start figuring out ways to not do the other things
Ah, yeah.
related to that. So, as a mom who homeschools, my goal was to spend time with my children, to be a large voice in their life as they are growing up, because those years are short and I wanted to be there for those. My goal was not to be a teacher. I never was the little girl who said, I want to grow up and be a teacher. And so I knew I didn't want to do lesson plans. I didn't want to do all that planning. So I actually chose a curriculum that I don't have to do that. I utilize a certified teacher and to help do my lesson plans and help keep my children accountable as I do school with my children, because that is the part that I wanted to do. And in my business, I know I like to do the business development and CEO aspect of it. And I didn't really want to sit down every day and do bookkeeping or QuickBooks, even though that's my background is in accounting and bookkeeping. I knew that I wanted to do that higher level thing. So I started hiring people who could do the other tasks so that I could spend time being a CEO when I'm working on my business. So rather than working 40 hours a week, I make the most impact in 20 by choosing to do the high level things that only I can do and delegating anything that someone else can do and delegating it to someone who does it better. And so that in every area of my life, I go about it that way. And it allows me to two things: make the most impact in all those areas so I'm as successful as possible in each of those areas that I have said yes to.
Yeah.
Then the other thing is I have more personal stamina through the day because I'm loving every part of my day, because my plate is full of things that I'm choosing to say yes to and that I want to do, rather than the necessary evils that come along with something that I chose to do.
Again, you're reiterating things that I strongly believe in.
Mhm.
And where we can be in the sage mindset, which is a possibility thinking, living in a life choice of choosing, doing it on a want to, love to
Mhm.
basis versus a have to basis. The energy between the two is massively different.
Mhm.
It's just a small little change in language. Like, disempowering language would be I have to, I try, I will, I can, shoulda, coulda, woulda. Those are all disempowering words. In order to move forward with the improv approach to life, it's getting rid of those words and say, I choose to do this. Even if
Mhm.
at the beginning you're not really happy about doing it. It's the energy of getting it done, though. If you choose to do it, then you're more likely to get it done. Yeah, that's just so powerful. And the other thing that I picked up from what you were talking about was, when you live in that place of choice, you're doing it because you want
Mhm.
to, and identify what the important aspects are for you that you want to get done, that you choose to do, and you don't have to work as hard. And there's more of an ease and flow to life. Not to say that there aren't speed bumps along the way.
Mm, mhm.
There's obstacles.
Mhm.
It's just how we react to them. There's a formula: E plus R equals O. So the outcome is the what's happened with the choices we've made. And if we're not happy with that, the only thing we can do is change our response or the
Mhm.
event. So the event's already happened. So all we can do is change now how we respond to that. So what I'm hearing from you is most of the time, because I don't want to make you perfect, because you're perfect, but I don't want to, you're excellent. Let's put it that way at what you do because of what you do. Um, you're able to get a lot of stuff done because of the choices you make and the energy you have, because you're living
Mhm.
your life on a want to, choose to, love it basis a high percent of the time. That's what I'm getting from what I've gleaned from sharing time with you today.
That would be correct. Yeah.
Cool. I want to share some other stuff with people. I'm just looking at the clock. Just we could talk for another, I don't know, week perhaps. But let me share some information about how people can find you. There we go. And this one is where did I start off with? Oh, this is LinkedIn, isn't it?
Mhm.
And why do I have him up there? I don't know. Let's get rid of
People are
that.
sending you messages. They wanna
I
say hi.
know. It's not that I don't appreciate it. It's just not the right timing. Let me get rid of him and cancel that. Hang on, guys and girls. I'm going to try and get the links up here. This is when you need a director.
Oh, yes. That does help, but it's fine.
Let me go to where the banners are. Here we are, because I get the right spot, because it's hard to read that. So here's how you could find Rachel on LinkedIn, linkedin.com, and then the rest is there, Rachel Luther. If you are not connected with her, I'm thinking you should probably get connected and figure out what she's all about. And what is COYL? So people know what that is.
That's check off your list.
Right. So that's the name of your business, where you help us get more stuff done, right? With your
That is
team.
correct.
Yeah. And then the other locale we're going to point you people to is this one. And watch me do this one a little bit smoother. This is your
Well
podcast.
done. Yes.
Tell us about your podcast a little bit. Give yourself a plug.
Okay. Well, I started the podcast because a lot of our time is spent with our clients teaching them how to delegate and the benefits of having a team and all of that. And I see them go through struggles and things that I've been through. So I started the podcast to kind of share my journey and ideally help people expedite what took me years to learn. And so it is the first season is my journey to delegating and what I had learned as I've incorporated this in every area of my life. So that is season 1. Then season 2, I started interviewing people who were delegators in other industries and ways that they have grown their business and choices that they'd made to kind of optimize their time in their business and make them more productive. So I started having conversations with people like that to just learn from them because I realized I only know what I know and there are a lot of people out there who know more than me. So I started talking to them and get their insight. So that is kind of the direction that the podcast took after season 1. And so that is my podcast. Just
That's
talking
brilliant.
about delegating as business owners and what it looks like to make the most impact in our business so that we have more time in our day to do what we want to do.
That's brilliant. Yeah. So now you know how to get hold of her. And if you want to learn what she's all about, you can go listen to her podcast and go from there. If you're compelled to engage with Rachel and her services, then you'll know how to get hold of her. A couple places to do that. Before we wrap up, though, what's one idea that you would want to make sure that the audience gains from your wisdom? What would you like to impart on them?
Yes. So I would say that, I mean, we covered a lot of it in our conversation for sure, but I would say if I could go back and talk to, 24-year-old Rachel who was diving into all of this from the beginning, I would say that I wish I had delegated sooner
Mm,
and been most intentional about what I said yes to from the beginning. And that is really how I have made leaps and bounds in my business and as an actor and as a homeschool mom and in gives me time to then focus on my marriage and my relationship with my kids. And there's such an industry uh glorification of hustle I should say, like, not industry cultural glorification of hustle that I think we're diverting from these days. And so many times, success was you show up, you work hard, and you grind, and you will succeed. Where now it's more of a efficiency and optimizing your time and utilizing resources. And like we talked about, there's some fear in that as a business owner,
Sure.
but overcoming those fears and being willing to step out of our comfort zone benefits tenfold when we're willing to do that and get uncomfortable and push ourselves.
Hang on, there's a few people who are just popping in just to say, okay. And, it was great to have these guys and gals drop in and say hi and give us some feedback on what's going on. Appreciate that. I'm energized by sharing a little bit of your life on our live stream today. I really appreciate you being here. Wow, it's energetic. Your transfer of energy is enthusiasm, right? And you certainly did that for me today. And I'm guessing that anybody who's watched this live or is going to watch this 5 years from today would be energized as well. So I really appreciate you being a guest and sharing some of your wisdom and energy with us today.
It's my pleasure. I've had a lot of fun. It's been good.
We'll see you in a bit.
All right. Sounds great.
Wow. I thought that was pretty darn awesome. Lots of energy, lots of really great ideas. Just look at my notes real. Be a good learner, possibility thinker, delegate, do it sooner. Growth came both in the family and in her business. And then also she could get back into what she's passionate about, which is her performing and acting. Hire people who are better than what you are, and don't let yourself stop that process. Hire people that have a mutual passion and grow your business exponentially. Improv was a really good aspect for her. And I'm a big fan of improv for just getting to the yes and mindset. It will really happen. And I could dive into that, but it's not about me. Master your say yes muscle, which is improv will help you do that. And then prioritize what's important to you. What do you want to do in your life? Do you have a major definite purpose, a mission? Well, sounds like she does. And that's what I encourage all of my clients to do. So until next time, think about that. And I want to share one more thing, though, before we get off the airwaves. And this is to remind you yourselves to be the you in the wonderful, because you truly are wonderful in your own unique way. So continue being that, and don't let fear get in your way. Till next time, I'm Coach Phil, the host of The Business Renovator.
I get shit done, I have fun. It's my time and I'm the one. I'm breaking through.